All right, we're good here.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ian.
We call this caucus meeting of the Kingston Common Council to order here at 7:01 PM, June 5th, 2023. We have about 7 or 8 items on the agenda, and we will start with Resolution 95, which is approving the transfer of $59,113.22 in Public Works. This is an internal transfer, so there is no financial impact. Anybody have issues with this? Any concerns, questions, negative vibes? All right, good. We'll move to Resolution 96, approving the transfer of $173.14 in the city clerk department to cover the expense of replacement of flowers and tree at the Kathy Jansek Memorial, and I believe this one is $873. Anybody against this memorial gesture? Yeah, you're playing hardball already. All right, 97, approving the transfer of $14,639 to increase the salary of Barbara Graves Collar, Corporation Counsel. And so the financial impact of that for this year is $14,639. That's because it starts partway through the year. You'll notice that's a distinction between the current salary and proposed salary, and that would be the annual salary, $126,000. How about that? Everybody okay with that?
She's right. I think it's powerful. Just the worst.
How we feel with her.
Yeah. What a con, oh God, no.
Anybody want to speak against that?
I will say we've been tremendously gratified at the work that Harvey has done.
Yes.
This is well deserved.
I would say I'm going to hold my fire on that until tomorrow. I want to say something to the world.
All right, Resolution 98 is a memorializing resolution calling for a Bill of Rights for the Hudson River, also known as Machikanaktuk, and its watershed and ecosystem.
I'd like to ask council a question about this.
Yep.
Are you satisfied that it is sort of like, it's staying in its lane as a memorializing resolution rather than sort of drifting over into the quasi attempt to be regulatory or something?
So I was not at Laws and Rules, but I did circulate something ahead
I
of
saw
time.
it, yeah.
So as long as that is what was circulated, I felt comfortable.
Okay.
Anything else? All right, great. Resolution 99, requesting bonding authorization in the amount of $14 million on behalf of the Kingston Library District. This is a pass-through request, so it's actually $0, but this is a requirement of state law that we that bonding of this sort be done by the municipality. The library can't do it by itself. Instead, they're married to a librarian who's been through this before.
Is this part of the
Renovation?
yeah, but is this part of that vote that the majority of the city of people, the city of Kingston residents voted in favor of? Okay. all right.
Yeah, so they're in favor of, right, but we still have to have the legal
Yeah, okay,
step here.
all right.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
All right. And that's also why we won't have like a bond ordinance on that specific issue. Resolution 100, establishing a housing department budget appropriation.
David?
This,
All right. I had a question on that when I see it. So let's get more information on.
Is this the one about the ETPA contribution?
the City of Kingston Affordable Housing Reserve Fund could provide Kingston with resources targeted to serve low income, very low income, and extremely low income households. And that new revenue streams that have not been relied upon in the current or prior city budgets could support this fund. And so this is basically emergency funding.
Which is coming from, like, what monies? ARPA monies, or is this contingency money?
So if this is the one, is this the one Bart had presented about the new revenue streams?
Oh,
So
that he has, okay.
That includes the short-term rental enforcement fees that have been increased and the affordability contributions, all of that.
Yes, unfortunately, that was also a committee report that he circulated at the meeting, so I don't have it here.
We have that tomorrow.
I can ask him to send that round tomorrow.
The resolution should be online, or is online.
Is it online for tomorrow?
Yeah, the resolutions. We're posted.
So let's see. This is,
This is
right, so,
it's there.
yeah, so it's related to ETPA, making Housing Council acknowledge the calamitous effect of displacement. City wishes to seeks to support and expand the supply of housing for lower income senior citizens and others. Understand providing accessible affordable housing requires finding and funding and financial support. So a housing department budget appropriation will serve as a dedicated repository of funding to address the declared housing emergency through targeting housing initiatives that support affordable housing production and reduce displacement. And whereas the new housing department budget appropriation can provide Kingston with resources targeted to serve low-income, very low-income, and extremely low-income households as defined by HUD. Council has identified potential sources of funding, including but not limited to affordable housing contributions collected in accordance with the city zoning code and fees collected from violations of the city's short-term rental regulations. So in other words, when and if we pass the new zoning, there's potential, particularly with PILO and some other income streams in that we would have this fund.
And that would
And
go to
then
this one.
the policy then of the fund that we're deciding on here would be to a great extent precisely for these lower income folks. Help them with their specific rents, not necessarily for, construction or something like
Brandon, were you reading the actual resolution tomorrow night?
that.
Okay.
So now therefore, Common Council directs the city comptroller to establish a new housing department budget appropriation consisting of appropriations as determined from time to time by separate legislative action. And then it talks about the types of uses. It's administered by the Office of Housing Initiatives. There will be very strict funding about how the money is brought in and spent, it's used.
Would the council oversee that?
Yeah, the specific votes on, yeah.
You never know. Show up just a question.
No, you're right.
Be a public comment.
Yeah.
All right.
So what's the bond ordinance?
Well, my understanding is that we would start it because we have the emergency now.
All right.
We also have, the potential, because we're in pretty good financial shape, I think this is a good move to make.
So the bond ordinance, I think, is related to 99.
Oh, I'm
it's
sorry.
already said that.
Yeah.
So it's 101 is for 99.
I thought we didn't have to have a bond resolution for 9. Oh, I guess we do because it still goes through us. Okay. Is there a way to get those switched?
I think it's,
Okay.
I don't know, does it matter too much? I'll be clear on the floor, at least I will be clear what it is.
Good. Where are we here?
Second reading.
And then the second reading is the repeal.
This is when we have to vote on the second
This
reading.
is
This is the repeal of good cause. That
I
was,
know they're getting close to the end of the legislative season, but if anybody on the floor wants to make another appeal to our state legislators. Now, then would be a good time when I open up the floor.
Should we be voting on this yet, considering that we haven't even set the fee schedule yet, and that is part of the fee schedule?
Oh, you're talking about 100?
Yeah.
Oh, we moved on.
Oh, sorry.
The question is still standing.
Yeah, so, yeah.
You're saying, should we vote on it because it's.
Well, the other fund, like all of the funding streams, including like the fee schedule, will be weighted on.
And was that discussed at finance? I actually missed that meeting, so.
no, not a specific fee.
No,
Well, the
I
fee
mean,
schedule regarding the zoning.
Oh, right, but this is, I think, just establishing the place in the budget, as I'm remembering. So it's not, so that's why I was confused with the placement of the bond ordinance there. So it's establishing a place for it in, our, in John Toohey's budgets and so forth in the Department of Housing initiatives.
So more
And
just
this means
preparation
that
for
then
what
as we
will
bring
say.
money in through and then there are other sources potentially that we.
So what's the bond ordinance?
The bond
That's
ordinance is
that's a
for
normal spot.
99.
It should be 99, 101, then 100.
Bond ordinance.
So-
Oh, okay, I see now.
Yeah.
I see, the bond ordinance goes at 99. Yes. Okay, all right.
So I'm actually thinking, why not go ahead and also borrow money into this fund, but anyway. All right,
It is.
well, we've got money in fund balance, we could talk about it. So anyway,
It's actually good, but not.
not this second. All right, talk to John Toohey and see what's possible. Did you want to say something?
Well, do you want me to do my update now? Is everybody good with the legislative list? Or does
I
anybody
think
have
so. Any other
liaison
questions?
role updates that they want to do before that, or I'll just dive in and put in the anything? So speaking of commissions, this was in the communication, but it was just they wanted council members to know what they're doing. I guess I could do that instead of pressing one at a time, but this is from Liberals, if you want to just take a look at that. As you know, this is Tony's last caucus. So we kept it nice and short for him. Bob Dennison is being sworn in tomorrow. And he'll start up immediately. Barbara Hill is doing the council award to Rachel Judith. I may be pronouncing that incorrectly. So Ward 1 resident. She's a care manager at Mental Health Association in Ulster County. Works with homeless folks, court-ordered residents, and people in and out of the hospital. So, not Rachel. Well, Rachel will be there, but Barbara will be there tomorrow to present to Rachel. And I hope you all saw my email about July's meetings because of the holiday. I figured for vacation planning, better to get that done now. So it'll be July 10th and 11th. I know I normally ask, but there was really very little wiggle room, so I just made the executive decision.
You did it.
I think I did. Go me if I did. And then the last about the zoning, if you didn't listen or if you weren't in attendance at the last zoning meeting, was it last Wednesday? I suggest that you watch the meeting. We went over a lot of stuff and I laid out a roadmap in the beginning, which I will lay out in an email at some point this week. I also hoping to gathering up the information that has been going on since it's in process for 5 years to try and gather all the information. So for folks to really dig into this, depending on how much you've been paying attention the last 5 years, now's the time to really dive into it. So I'll try and get all of that to you by the end of this week. The roadmap I'll put down and I explained it in the laws and rules meeting. Of course, it depends. Like there's going to be a lot of winging it. and I'm not very good at it. We're gonna do that. So in case we need more time, some of them will be pushed out, but it kind of gives you an idea, like this is the earliest date we would do this. And if one meeting is only about one of the buckets, then that's what we'll discuss and we'll just have to have more meetings or just take longer to do it. But I will try and get you the roadmap written down and any of the information I could gather by the end of this week and call the special laws and rules meeting, which will be about those three buckets that I'm talking about. So that's zoning, and I think that's everything that I have. So if anybody else has any liaison updates, I guess now's the time. And then the only other thing is we do have Corporation Council here to give us an update as well. So that's it. Thank you.
Well, I would like to report from the Kingston Housing Authority.
All right.
We had a wonderful celebration this past week, noting the name change for what used to be called Stuyvesant Charter. And a former student of mine had written a paper about two really important Black activists, Black community members here at Leonard and Dyke a number of years ago. And so I passed that around to members of the KHA board. And we all decided that it would be fitting to change the name from Peter Stuyvesant, who was a supporter of enslaving people, who was an anti-Semite, and kind of not a nice guy in general. And so we changed the name from Stuyvesant Charter to the Leonard and Dyke Apartments. There was a big celebration. There were over 100 people there. It got good coverage in the press.
What did I do?
He wasn't there,
Oh.
but his colleague was. Very nice. Yeah, his colleague wrote a very nice piece. And so it was a really wonderful day. And if you want to see what they were doing over there, the renovation, you can tour one of the units that's been renovated. It's quite impressive.
I would say, great job, thank my board, and to see the progress going on over there and to see what the new apartments look like. I got a chance to talk to some of the tenants and they were happy and with, with the new additions there. So, job well done and with KHA and I'm glad that we passed that legislation to get that going. So as we were over there, as Renee saying, I was invited there as well. And, they were doing construction on the roof, inside the building, so they're making progress. So good job.
Anything else? In that case, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Not yet.
No, not yet. Oh, right, we have attorney.
Which is an attorney-client session, so we will ask our
Our friends to
wait outside, please.
our last attorney client. Last attorney client.
Last attorney-client.
Yeah.
You know where the courthouse is, right across the street from us, because Christie's house.
Kingston is mentioned in New York Times editorial by Paul Krugman. Wow. He's talking about Zoom and how remote work allows people to move to other places. It's well, yeah, no. Yeah. Anyway, so that's, he's saying that these towns that are within striking distance of large cities could become new meccas for money because people will be moving there, they'll be able to afford the rents or the housing costs. But I mean, it seems like he's 2 years behind here. in Kingston.
Yeah.
That's what happened already during COVID, right?
Yep.
But all right, well, if there's no more discussion, no more,
I do have one
Bring it up.
real quick. When would be a good time to speak about this man tomorrow? After everything?
Yeah.
after we've had a few drinks,
All right.
then we can tell the truth.
Okay.
No,
Yeah, at the end of the meeting, I'm gonna.
Because I know we usually do.
I ruined the surprise.
oh, that's why you don't like surprise parties?
I wasn't planning on for others. Just never throw me a surprise. That's what I'm gonna be a part of. And knows.
Okay, I sense a murder mystery theme here. Anyway, all right, then, is there a motion to object? Is there a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
It's not
for
that
being
Bob
here.
going
Thank
to
you for
introduce
the support.
himself, he'll be joining us on Wednesday.
Should have been in here. I mean, knowing about that, we'd have brought you in.
Well, just, he'll be sworn in on.
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Oh.
Tony goes through Tuesday night.
We're good? Did we adjourn?
We adjourn.
Adjourn.
Thank you, everybody. Free and clear. Thank you, Rita.
Good night.